The tongue map is a lie. Okay, I need you to do something for me real quick. Stick out your tongue. Not at me, just in general, picture it in your head. Now think back to school. There was this diagram. You probably colored it in once. A big pink tongue, chopped up into zones. Sweet at the tip, salty just behind it, then sour on the sides, and bitter way in the back. You learned that. Your parents learned that. Your teacher learned that. It was in the textbook, right next to the food pyramid and Pluto. There's just one problem. It's completely made up. Not kind of outdated. Not, we know more now. I mean, the tongue map is wrong in the way that a map of a country that doesn't exist is wrong. Every part of your tongue can taste every flavor. The zones were never real. And the story of how this fake little diagram ended up in millions of textbooks for almost 100 years. Honestly, it's one of the funniest mistakes in the history of science. It involves a confused translation, one guy who trusted a chart a little too much, and a wine glass company that accidentally made everything worse. So let's get into it. First, let's just prove it to yourself, because you don't have to trust me. You have the equipment right there in your face. Grab something sweet, a little sugar, a bit of juice, whatever. Now put it on the very back of your tongue. The part the map swears is bitter only. You taste the sweet, obviously. Because of course you do. Do the same with salt on the tip, sour in the middle. It all just works everywhere. Your whole tongue is basically one big flavor sponge. There are little taste buds spread across the entire surface, and most of them can pick up all the basic tastes. So if it's that easy to disprove, and it is, you literally just did it with a snack, how did this thing survive for a century? For that, we have to go back to Germany. The year is 1901. There's a scientist named David Hennig, and Hennig is curious about something pretty reasonable. He wants to know if your sensitivity to different tastes changes depending on where you put them on your tongue. Notice that word, sensitivity. He runs his little experiments and he finds something mild and totally true. The edges of your tongue are a tiny bit more sensitive to some tastes than the dead center. Like, the tip might notice sweet just a hair faster, the sides might be a touch quicker on sour. That's it. That's the whole finding. Every part of the tongue tastes everything. Some parts are just very slightly more sensitive to certain flavors than others. It's the difference between a little more and only here. A small, boring, correct result. So Hennig does what scientists do. He draws a graph, and this is where it all goes wrong. This graph is the villain of our story, and it never even meant to be. His graph showed sensitivity as a curve. Little bumps and dips across the tongue. A tiny bump for sweet near the front. A tiny bump for bitter near the back. But these were gentle differences. The bitter part wasn't the bitter zone. It was just slightly, mildly more alert to bitter than the average. Think of it like this. Imagine a map of a country where it rains everywhere. Rain falls on the whole place, but one corner gets maybe 10% more rain than the rest. That's the real finding. It rains everywhere. One corner's a little wetter. Now imagine someone looks at that map and goes, ah, so this is the rain region, and the rest of the country is a desert. That's the mistake that's coming. Just hold on to that. Because for about 40 years, honestly, nothing happens. Hennig's work mostly sits there. It's in German. It's technical. It's fine. Then we get to 1942, and we meet the second character in our story. A Harvard psychologist named Edwin Boring. Yes, that's really his name. And I promise you the irony is not lost on anyone. A man named Boring is about to make one of the most memorable errors in science class history. Boring is writing a big, important textbook, and he wants to include Hennig's old tongue research. But here's the thing. He's working off that translated decades-old data. And when he goes to represent it, he takes those gentle little sensitivity bumps and he flattens them into zones. The nuance just evaporates. Slightly more sensitive to bitter quietly becomes, this is the bitter part. The soft curve becomes hard borders. A graph about degrees becomes a map about locations. And because Edwin Boring was a big deal, respected guy, major textbook, nobody stopped to double check. Why would they? It's in the book. The book is by the Harvard professor. Case closed. Other textbooks copied Boring. Then textbooks copied those textbooks. And each time it got copied, it got a little cleaner, a little bolder, a little more confident. The messy truth got sanded down into a neat little diagram with 4 tidy sections. Perfect for a test question. And that's the thing about a good, clean diagram. It's so easy to teach. It's so easy to remember. It fits on a worksheet. It makes a great multiple choice question. The truth, everything tastes everything, with tiny variations, is a terrible worksheet. The lie is a fantastic one. So the lie won for decades, and here's my favorite part. The tongue map didn't just live in classrooms. It escaped into the real world. Ever seen a fancy wine glass? The kind where the shape is supposedly designed to guide the wine to the right part of your tongue. Some glassware was literally marketed on this idea. Aim the sweet wine at your sweet zone. Steer the acidic wine to your sour sensors. All based on zones that were never there. So somewhere out there, people paid extra for a specially shaped glass engineered around a translation error from 1901. That's not a scam exactly. Everyone genuinely believed it. That's almost worse. It's a mistake so cozy that a whole aesthetic got built on top of it. Okay, so let's fix the record. What's actually going on in your mouth? Your tongue is covered in thousands of taste buds, and each taste bud isn't a sweet bud or a salt bud. Each one holds a bunch of receptor cells, and those cells can respond to the basic tastes. Sweet, salty, sour, bitter. And the savory one, umami, that's the meaty, brothy Parmesan cheese soy sauce flavor. That's a real fifth taste, and fun bonus, it's one your school tongue map almost certainly forgot to include entirely. These taste buds are spread all over. The tip, the sides, the back, even bits of the roof of your mouth and your throat get in on it. When you eat, the whole system lights up at once. You're not routing flavors to departments. It's more like the entire surface votes and sends the result upstairs. And honestly, taste was never really the star of the show anyway. Here's the plot twist inside the plot twist. Most of what you think is taste is actually smell. Your tongue only does the basic 5. Sweet, salty, sour, bitter, umami. That's a pretty short list. All the rich stuff. The difference between a strawberry and a cherry, coffee versus chocolate, the specific glory of bacon, that's your nose. Those are aromas floating up the back of your throat while you chew. You already know this, you just never clocked it. When you have a stuffy nose and everything tastes like wet cardboard, your tongue is working perfectly. It's your nose that clocked out. Flavor is mostly a smell wearing a taste costume. So let's zoom out. What do we actually do with all this? Well, first, it's a beautiful little lesson in how misinformation spreads. Nobody lied here. Nobody was evil. There was no cover-up. Just one real study, one sloppy translation, one confident textbook, and then 100 years of people copying each other because it looked official and it fit on the page. That's how a lot of everybody knows facts happen. Not from lies, from tidy diagrams that were a little too convenient to question. And the tongue map has a lot of siblings, by the way. You've probably got a whole drawer of these in your head that you only use 10% of your brain. No. That the food pyramid was solid nutrition science. Not really. That there are exactly 9 planets. Ask Pluto how that went. School isn't out to get you, it's just that knowledge gets frozen into worksheets. And worksheets are really, really slow to update. So next time you eat something, remember. There are no zones, no sweet corner, no bitter back room. Your whole tongue tastes the whole meal, all at once, every time. And most of the magic is coming from your nose anyway. That neat little 4-color diagram you colored in as a kid, you can finally let it go. Turns out the map was never the territory. It was just boring. Thanks for hanging out. If you liked having something you knew quietly demolished, stick around. Because I've got a whole list of things from your old textbooks that didn't survive. See you in the next one.